So these are the key features we will be going through, and there are 10 of them. So we will jump straight into the first one, which is transactions and user experience in Org Studio. And second, if this wants to work here. So Workday improves Org Studio by delivering a new search feature and enhancing the transactions and configuration options available in a design. They will also update the create position action, enabling you to specify hiring restrictions when you create a position. And there's also a new remove worker action where you can access from the related actions menu on a worker or filled position. And you can now also undo proposed worker moves. The Maintain Org Studio Configurations task is updated to enable you to review, hide, and configure fields that don't support effective dating. And lastly, the job change action is updated, enabling you to perform changes on new positions. And we will go straight into a little demonstration on this on these updates. So first, I will show you here the job change function. So first I will go and create a position so I can propose a job change. So you just click on the organization you want to create the position for. This is nothing new, and I will just create 2 positions for an analyst role. And here you can also see the hiring restrictions and configure those straight away. After this, you see that there's 2 analyst roles. And if you click on the prompt here, you can propose a job change. Here you can search for the worker. And I'm just searching for Kevin Gibson here. And you need to select a reason for this job change. And I'm choosing transfer. The next feature is regarding the option to change the settings to specify the settings in Edit Organization under Maintain Studio configurations. So I'm going to select a organization here. And here I can edit the organization straight away. Organization details and organization assignments. And if I want to change what is viewed here, I can go to Maintain Org Studio configurations. So here you can see that you can change the assigned roles, job change, and effective dating. Now, when we go back to the design, we also have the option to remove a worker directly in the prompt. So here I'm just moving a worker to show you this. If you click here on the worker that has moved, you can remove him instead of pressing the undo button, which will be really convenient if you have moved a lot of workers and you don't want to undo a lot of the configurations you've already made. So you can remove 1 or more workers directly in this organization. And lastly, here I'm showing you that there's a new search function where you can search for workers or organizations. And then, oh, no, I think it was too quick. There. And previously, job change for Org Studio didn't support the ability to vacate and fill a position within a single Org Studio design. This issue has now been resolved with this release, but job change for Org Studio still doesn't support configure optional fields, job change templates, and job overlap. So what is changing? There's a new search feature and enhancing the transaction and configuration options available in the design. The current users should use the maintain Org Studio configurations task and review the effective dating options. This task is available to users secured to the maintain Org Studio design domain. By default, these options will have no impact on your current experience. And if you haven't configured Org Studio or end mass actions, you won't see any changes to your tenant. Users with access to the following Org Studio actions will also have access to the improvements made with no additional setup for job change, create position, and move workers. Then we'll jump into the second feature, which is launch change job from worker profile. Workday delivers a new start job change report secured to the staffing actions job change date and reason domain that is available as a profile card. You can now use the configure profile summary task to add the report to the worker profile, enabling you to easily launch a change job for a worker. This increases your efficiency by making it easier to find and complete necessary job change actions for a specific worker. You can now configure what job change templates display on the Start Job Change profile card. You can order the change job templates on the Maintain Change Job Templates task, and the first 5 templates will be displayed as buttons based on your security of the user viewing the worker profile. This provides you with the flexibility to determine the most relevant job change actions for your organization. You can also customize the Start Job Change label using the Maintain Custom Labels task. And the configuration for this is actually quite simple. It's only 2 steps. So you access the Configure Profile Summaries task, and then you select Worker Profile. After that, you add the Start Job Change report as a card. And here's the demonstration of the new updates. So we will start by accessing the Configure Profile Summaries task. And here, select Worker Profile. After this, we will add the Start Job Change report as a card. And I will also demonstrate how you change the templates and choose and add in this Maintain Job Templates task. So here you can add or remove or which change job templates you want to have. And the first 5 here will be displayed as buttons. So I will show you this by going to a worker profile. And here you can see this new option in the left. And here you see that you can go straight into a change job by clicking on the action. And you also have the ability to view all options, where you can see all the job change options for this worker. You can order the change job templates on the Maintain Change Job Templates task. The first 5 templates displayed on the security of the viewer on the viewing the worker profile. There's a text limit of 30 characters for what displays on the button for launching the change job template. Once you exceed these 30 characters, the text will be cut off, and the Start Job Change profile card shares the same name as the Start Job Change initiation task. And you can change the Start Job Change profile card name using the Maintain Custom Labels task. So there will be a new report then for this Start Job Change. And you need to add this Start Job Change as a profile card for this to work. And if you do nothing, you will see no new changes in your job change process. And this feature is opt-in only. Next up, we have this flexible work arrangements as a sub-business process of staffing events. And here, Workday will add flexibility to the flexible work arrangements functionality by enabling you to set it up as a sub-business process of the ad employment business process. This reduces manual effort for managers by creating a seamless transaction into setting up new workers' work arrangements. The add flexible work arrangement for worker task, which is secured to the staffing functional area, as an action step on the request flexible work arrangement business process, giving you the ability to configure work arrangement as sub-processes of the business processes, hire, add additional job, start international assignment, and contract contingent worker. And this update streamlines the process for setting up work arrangements. And here's the configuration. You access any of these business processes as I mentioned, and you set up the add flexible work arrangement for a worker as an action step, and you need to ensure that the step preceding the request flexible work arrangement is set up as a completion step. And here we'll go into demonstration. We'll start off by going to the higher definition for the company and look at the business process steps. Here I'm looking for a completion step, which I found here on the F column. And then I go to edit the business process definition. And here I'm adding a new row and putting it after the completion step. And this is an action step, so I will choose action here. And then add flexible work arrangement for worker. Then you choose the necessary security group. And if needed or wanted, you can pick a due date, and I will pick a week. When you enable the request flexible work arrangement as a sub-process of the higher business process, if the worker isn't eligible for any flexible work arrangement types after the business process completes, Workday does not send a notification to the recipient of the next step in the business process. And to use this functionality, you must update the web service to V40 or later. So with this update, managers using Workday for iPhone, iPad, and Android can now access the Add Flexible Work Arrangement for Worker task from the Workday inbox. And this eliminates the need for managers to log in on a desktop to add a flexible work arrangement for their workers. Workday also made the Add Flexible Work Arrangement for Worker step available as a sub-process on these web services listed. And keep in mind that you need to use the version for web service V40 or later. And you need to edit these staffing business processes to include the add flexible work arrangement for worker as an action step on these business processes listed. And if you do nothing, nothing will happen. Your business process configuration will remain the same. You will have to continue adding flexible work arrangement as a standalone process. Next up, we have the duplicate management framework. And in this feature, Workday continues to enhance the duplicate management framework by enabling you to configure more precise match criteria and match exclusions, improving your control over match results and enabling you to manage duplicate records more effectively. This also they will also add a match exclusion criteria to the manage match rules task, enabling you to identify data that should not be evaluated during the match. Records with data are then excluded during the match process, and this makes it easier to reduce the volume of matches in a tenant, which improves performance. And you can exclude email addresses and names. Workday deliver new web services that you can use to add and update emails and names for match exclusions, which are these listed, like get name match exclusions, get email match exclusion, and put. For name, they can include the exclude only required components checkbox, which is already selected, helping you to refine your search by excluding required name components for a country. And there are three main steps or three main options for this configuration. To add new match rules with name as the only criteria, you go to the Manage Match Rules task, and then you add the new criteria with name basic or name all as the single criteria. And then you select the Enable checkbox, so the rules are applied in the next duplicate management job run. And after that, you select the Merge Enable checkbox if you prefer that the system auto-merge instead of manual merge. And after this, you go to the Duplicate Management Records task or Schedule Find Job Duplicates task to run the duplicate management job now. Alternatively, you can wait for the next scheduled job to view duplicates within your new rule applied. The next option is to enable match exclusions based on email. And these steps are quite similar to the previous one. And this is also quite similar. And I will show you here. So first we go to the Manage Duplicate Records report to see what duplicate records we have. So this will only take a few seconds to load. And then we press Manage Duplicate Records. And here I have Match Rule, which I can see which are already configured. And here I find all my duplicate names. And after this, I go to Manage Match Rules. And here I see I have already two configured. During name, I have the name Anna Bergman for America. And here I will add Kevin Jensen, which I found in the list of duplicate names. And this is already enabled. And here I am accessing the email addresses to show you that you can also use email address. Here I'm using a phony email address because I did not look up any email addresses that were duplicates. But you need to press enabled for this to work, and you can add more items there. And here you can see the list of the options that you have. And then I will go back to the Manage Duplicate Records report and run that again. And during under this match rule, I can also see email now. And here we can see that there's no Anna Bergman or Kevin Jensen listed because they are removed as duplicates. And here I expect that there's no changes made because I don't think anyone has the user@workday.com email address. To ensure match exclusions are applied, modify the rule criteria and then rerun the duplicate management job. And here there is a new task, match exclusion section on the Manage Match Rules task. And you need to opt in to the duplicate management, go to the Manage Match Rules task, and then set up New match rules with the name as a single criteria. In the same task, you can also add match exclusions. And if you do nothing, existing match rules remain unchanged. Next up, we have contact change for external committee members. Here, Workday enables you to edit your external committee members' home and work contact information with the same business process you use for workers. Workday will automatically convert your security configuration on the external committee member contact information domain to these domains using the new external committee member segmented security groups. Users with access to the personal data work address domain can now also enter or edit an alternate work address for external committee members. Workday doesn't convert your security configuration when the external committee member contact information domain is disabled or doesn't have security policy, has no security permissions configured and doesn't inherit security permissions from its parent domain, and doesn't convert your security configurations when the target domain is disabled. These business processes doesn't enable you to enter or modify the use for field for a worker's phone, email, or website. You won't be able to initiate these business processes if you don't already have default definitions configured for them. To provide a consistent experience for external committee members, Workday add the external committee as self-security group to multiple self-service domains with the same security permissions as they have on the external committee member. Users with access to the self-service work address domain can now also enter or edit alternate work address for external committee members. And same here, Workday does not convert your security configuration when the external committee member contact domain doesn't have these, is disabled or doesn't have the security policy, these three listed here. They automatically convert your existing security configuration on the external committee member contact information domain to the home contact change and work contact change business processes, security policies using new external committee members segmented security group. Workday also recommends that you create a separate worker segmented security group for the unconstrained users currently configured to the home and work contact information domains and business processes security policies, so you can prevent the users from accessing and managing personal data for external committee members. If you don't create this separate security group for these users, they will automatically receive access to the external committee member home and work contact information. To configure this, you need to create a worker segmented or student segmented security group to contain and replace your currently configured unconstrained users in the domain and business process security policies such as HR administrator or HR partner. This segment-based security group will restrict the unconstrained users from accessing and managing home and work contact information. If not already defined, you need to configure these business process definitions using the Create Business Process Definition default definition task to continue to edit and home and work contact information for external committee members. And these are home contact change and work contact change. And then you need to evaluate the following business processes, like I mentioned, home contact change and work contact change. Business process definition steps to ensure that this is applicable for external committee members. And after this, external committee members are automatically available in the home contact change and work contact change business processes. And Workday will automatically convert to security, enabling you to track the same amount of information that you currently track for external committee members. And here we will go into a demonstration. So first I will show you an external committee member. And here under contact, you see this edit button where you have change home contact and change work contact information. After this, we will go to the personal data work contact information domain to view the security policy and security group available for this. Here, you can also view and edit this domain. Here we need to know that we have a security group aimed for external committee members, and we have that view only external committee members admin segmented security group and view and modify here. After this, after knowing that we have the correct security groups, we access the work and home contact change default business process. And these are available for me already configured. But if they're not configured, here, yeah, I have both of them. And if I don't have them configured, you need to go to this create business process definition and type in home contact information or work contact information. But I have already configured them, so I don't need to do that. And now my PowerPoint did not work. 1 second, I need to restart. Here we go. So the home contact change and work contact change business processes doesn't enable you to enter or modify the use field for workers' phone, email, or website when maintaining external committee members' contact information. Users can now also enter or edit an alternate work address for external committee members if they have access to the personal data work address domain. So Workday enhances the security configurability on your external committee members' personal information with new updated domains. And Workday now enables you to change contact information for an external committee member using these web services listed. Workday also streamlines the way you maintain contact information for external committee members and retire the edit external committee member contact information task and replace it with these business processes, work contact change and home contact change. So you need to create a worker segmented or student segmented security group to contain and replace your currently configured unconstrained users in the domain and business process security policies, such as HR administrator or HR partner. And if not already defined, you need to configure the home contact change and work contact change business processes definitions to continue to edit home and work contact information for external committee members. And if you do nothing, the unconstrained users in your existing home and work contact information domain and business process security policies, such as HR administrator and HR partner, will have the same permissions they currently leverage for. which is worker contact information and external committee member contact information. And if the home contact change and work contact change business processes are enabled, you'll retain your current ability to maintain and view external committee member contact information. And this is due to a conversion that will transfer your security configurations from the external committee member contact information domain to the home and work contact information business process security policies and domains using the external committee member segmented security groups. And if no action is taken and there's no home contact or work contact change business process definitions, the ability to maintain the same amount of external committee member contact information will be limited. You'll need to create business process policy definitions for the home contact change and work contact change business processes. Next up, we have the configure eligibility for flexible work arrangements. And you can now create condition rules for flexible work arrangement types. This enables you to set up parameters for work access. Workday will create the maintain flexible work arrangement types task with a new condition rule column. Within the prompts of the column, they enable you to create condition rules for flexible work arrangement subtypes by delivering this new create flexible work arrangement subtype rule task, which is secured to the setup flexible work arrangements domain. To view all existing and newly created subtype rules, they also deliver the flexible work arrangement subtype rules prompt folder in the condition rule column. To improve your user experience and ability to manage condition rules for flexible work arrangement subtypes, they also deliver a new condition rule related actions menu item containing these tasks listed. Edit flexible work arrangement subtype rule, test flexible work arrangement subtype eligibility rule, and view flexible work arrangement subtype rule. Workday also gives you the ability to test eligibility rules then using the new test flexible work arrangement subtype eligibility rule task. So for configuration, you need to set up the flexible work arrangements domain and then access the maintain flexible work arrangement subtype types task. In the new condition rule column, access the condition rules prompt. Within the prompts in the column, you can either create condition rules or view flexible work arrangement subtype rules. And an optional step is to edit or view a condition rule selecting the view or edit from the subtype condition rule related menu options from the condition rule related actions. And another optional step is to access the test flexible work arrangement eligibility rule to test the rule you have created.
Elin, we have a question
from
Lea Andersen. She's asking if it's possible to add other actions than change job templates to worker profile summary page, because they would like to add also actions like termination, change organization assignments, etc. Or if there's a brainstorm to add other actions to profile summary page.
At this moment, no, I don't think so, but I can look into that more and come back to you in an email.
Thank you.
So let's jump into this demonstration where we begin by going to the maintain flexible work arrangements type, where we can add condition rule for a subtype. And here I'm going with the 100% remote subtype. Here we can create condition rules, and I will create one just to demonstrate. And I'm creating a simple condition rule for employees only, where no contingent workers will be allowed. So I'm selecting worker type. And here, after pressing OK, you can click on the prompt under Type. Yeah, you can view your eligibility condition rules here. After this, you can press on the prompt in Type. I think I will be doing that now. Where you can either view or maintain the whole row. And by the condition rule, you can view, test, or edit this condition rule. And here we'll show you this test function. And I will just pick a employee. And here you can see that she's eligible for this rule. Workday don't allow managers to request flexible work arrangement for ineligible workers. Similarly, ineligible workers can't request flexible work arrangement for themselves. When you test condition rules for future dated position, Workday evaluates the rule at the moment the task runs, not as of the effective date. This can result in the condition rule becoming ineligible at the time of testing. And when you have both condition rules and country restrictions set up, Workday requires both to be true in order for the subtype to display when requesting or adding a flexible work arrangement. So there's 3 new tasks for this and 2 new web services and also 3 new related actions. And you need to configure this flexible work arrangements domain for security access and then access the maintain flexible work arrangement types task. And after this, you can create condition rules. And if you don't do anything, there will be no changes. If you have country restrictions set up in the maintain flexible work arrangements type task, they remain applicable for your flexible work arrangements. Next, we have this configurable service date defaulting. And here Workday will enable you to configure default values for service dates. So you can now auto-populate service dates when running staffing business processes, which reduces manual effort and increases efficiency when completing a hire, change job, or other events for a worker. Workday delivers a new service date change tab on the maintain staffing field defaults task, enabling you to configure defaults for service dates, and defaults only apply when service date is a sub-process of staffing business process. And you can configure condition rules to default values for these fields. And the configuration for this is quite simple too. After setting up default rules for service date change, test them to ensure that defaults are assigned correctly to service dates based on the rules. To avoid overriding existing service date values, add the service date is blank report fields as a condition for your rules. And here's the list of the report fields that you can use. After this, when you're configuring report fields using calculated fields, use the business objects so that you can use the calculated fields for service date defaulting, which is action event, event, and worker business process. Here I will begin by going to the maintain staffing field defaults task. Here we see a new tab called service date change. Here we click on the add field. For this demonstration, I will pick benefit service date, the top one. But here's the list of all you can use. Now we can add a condition rule and values report field. And I picked worker hire here date. And you can also enter a specific value. You can see the already configured condition rules and create a new one. Here I'm just creating a condition rule. And as mentioned, I will choose this service date is blank. But you can see that there are for every new report field. So benefit service date is blank. You can also in this report field create calculated fields. And here we'll demonstrate that by creating a calculated field that the effective dates come 15 days after the go live. So I will pick worker business process and name the field and pick function increment or decrement date. After this, you come to a new page where you need to pick the date field. And here I will pick the 15 plus days effective date. Which you can see that I replaced there. You can select the enable autocomplete checkbox on the service date change business process definition. Once that is enabled, Workday will automatically complete the service date change event. So you can use these new fields in your condition rules to avoid overriding existing service date values. For example, you can manually enter benefit service date when hiring a worker. To avoid overriding that value, you add the service date, benefit service date is blank report field to the condition rule. And Workday updates these web services to support the new create service date defaults condition rule as of version 40. Get staffing field defaults condition rules and put staffing field defaults condition rules. They also added a new enable autocomplete checkbox on the service date change business process definition. When you select the checkbox, and Workday automatically completes the service date change business process. And you need to add the service date change business process as a sub-process of staffing business process, which you want to default service dates. For example, hire or change job. And you need to configure defaulting rules for the service date change using the maintain staffing field defaults task. And if you do nothing, you will see no changes in Workday if you don't configure any defaulting rules for the service date change business process. Next up, we have the configurable addresses by country. And here, Workday enables you to configure address components by country, giving you a greater control over address information. And you can collect only address data that's relevant to your organization, which reduces the risk of integration errors and improves your user experience. Workday add a new address components tab on the maintain address components by country task, which enables you to set up address components that you want to show or hide or require when you enter an address for country to select a label override for any address components, which increases your flexibility to set up addresses that suit the needs of different countries. And when you are setting up these address components, you can enable the enter Western script checkbox to override required local script or Western script address components. And you can use Western script required address components or local script. Workday will remove the enable local script address and make Western script address optional in these countries field from edit tenant setup global and add the option to the maintain address components by country task. Workday will convert existing configurations to respect and maintain address components by country task and remove the required postal code localized field from the maintain localization settings and add the option to the maintain address components by country task. Workday will convert the existing address configurations to respect the maintain address components by country task. Furthermore, they will also update the view address components by country report to include the address components tab, enabling you to display configure address components and basic or extended address formats for a country. Workday will update the put tenant setup global web service by removing the enable local script address to make Western script address optional in these countries field. In addition, you can no longer retrieve that field in the get tenant setup global v40 and later. And there will also be an update to all web services that use address to respect the new maintain address components by configuration, by country configuration. To configure this, you have to make sure that you have the proper security in the setup contact infos, IDs, and personal data to be able to access the maintain address components by country and the view address by country task. And then under the maintain address components by country, you select your preferred country and then press OK. And after that, you will see the new section address components. And here we will start off by going to the domain contact info, IDs, and personal data. Here we want to make sure that we have the proper security configured to be able to access this. And you can do that in the domain. After this, I will go to the maintain address components by country and select America. Here you can see that some lines you can't configure, and this is because it's required for this country. You can also see this label override, where region is now called state. And here I can also add that the address line 2 is called additional address. To show this, I will go to my profile under contact and edit my home contact information. You can now see that address line 1 is the same, but the address line 2 is called additional address and the region is called state. To further demonstrate this, I will go back and remove the address line 2 by selecting the allowed box that it's not filled anymore. And here you can see that address line 2 is not visible anymore. And for this new feature, there is no additional considerations. But we do have a updated task, which is the maintain address components by country and a new web service called put tenant setup global. And there's also this new address components tab. And you need to review your current settings and new configuration options in the maintain address components by country task and decide whether or not you want to make updates. And if you don't, Workday maintains all current settings in the maintain address components by country task. Next up,
Elin,
we have
got a question from Ulla Naraho. Does this impact integration if field names are renamed?
I am quite unsure about integration, so I will look into that and get back to you via email.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Ulla, for the question.
Thank you. Next up, we have this working time rule-based defaulting in recruiting. Here, Workday enables you to automatically populate scheduled and default weekly hours for workers in the recruiting business process using condition rules, providing a more efficient way to assign accurate full-time equivalent percentages. So here you need to go to the setup working time security domain and assign roles. After this, you access the create working time eligibility rules task and create eligibility rules. After this, you go to maintain working time for country task to configure your working time eligibility rules and set up values for default and scheduled weekly hours. And if you want to pre-populate weekly hours on the create position and edit position restrictions business processes, you need to turn on the enable FTE on position restrictions tenant using the edit tenant setup HCM task. So here we will begin by accessing the domain working time. And here we want to see that we have the correct security groups configured. You can also do this by viewing it here. After this, I will go to the create working time eligibility rule task and create a condition rule for America. And then I will go to maintain working time for country and select the country which the rule consisted of, which was America in this case. And here you can see this working time eligibility rule line where I will create the add the test 2, which I created. And here you can also populate the default weekly hours and scheduled weekly hours. After this, if you wanted to pre-populate when you create a worker profile or create a new position, you need to go down to under staffing and select this enable FTE on position restrictions, which in my case was already enabled. For Workday to check the rules in recruiting events, you must interact with the data the rule is based on. In the recruiting business process, working time rule-based defaulting isn't available on the start job requisition task. And Workday has now created a more efficient way to assign accurate FTE percentages. And you need to go to the activate setup working time domain to assign roles, create eligibility rules. Then you need to configure rules, eligibility rules, and set up values for the default and scheduled weekly hours. And if you do nothing, you won't be able to maintain eligibility rules for working time or define country-specific default values for default and scheduled weekly hours on your job requisitions. Next up, we have this configurable job overlap routing. And with this release, Workday provides you with more routing flexibility when workers are in a job overlap position. You can now configure condition rules to specify the job overlap positions you want to exclude from business process routing, which reduces the number of notifications that a worker receives when they are not active in the job overlap position. Workday delivers a new maintain job overlap routing exclusion rule task, which is secured to the setup job overlap routing exclusion rules domain. And this enables you to configure and maintain the rules you create on the new create job overlap routing exclusions rules task. And the rules only apply when you select the new enable job overlap routing exclusions rule checkbox in the edit tenant setup HCM. And there are 2 field positions in a job overlap capable of receiving routing. And to configure this, you need to access the edit tenant setup HCM task and select the enable job overlap routing exclusion rules checkbox. After this, you need to access the create security policy for the domain task and select the setup job overlap routing exclusion rules. And after configuring, run the activate pending security policies changes task to make these changes available. After this, you need to access the maintain job overlap routing exclusion rules task to add new condition rule. And that is quite the same. And after that, you confirm the rule creation for job overlap routing exclusion rules and click OK. And then you configure a job overlap routing exclusion rules. There you specify the fields and criteria used to evaluate whether a position should be excluded from business process routing. And after that, you click OK to save your configuration. After this, you go to the maintain job overlap routing exclusion rule task. You click OK to save your changes. And we will start off here by going to the edit tenant setup HCM to activate the enable job overlap routing rules checkbox. And here you might need to activate the one above the enable job overlap position restrictions for the enable job overlap routing exclusion rules to work. After this, you need to create a security policy domain, which in this case was already done. So this won't work for me. But you just type it in and press confirm and then configure the necessity for this domain. After that, you need to activate pending security policy changes for it to work. After this, you can access your domain. And after that, we can go to the maintain job overlap routing exclusion rule to create a new condition rule. And here you need to confirm that you want to proceed. And here I just create a simple condition rule that the worker is employee type or worker type employee. And then you need to press OK to save and OK again. The new job overlap routing exclusion rules can only be created based on the fields from the following business objects, which is position management, and position all staffing modules. Job overlap routing exclusion rules only apply to role-based security groups and use the is excluded from routing report field in the custom reports to evaluate positions that meet the job overlap routing exclusion rule criteria. And here we have new tasks, new security domains, and report fields and web services available. Workday delivers the new is excluded from routing report field on the position management business object. You can use the new report field in the condition rules and custom reports to view positions that you are excluded from receiving routing. And you need to follow the configurations to get the new feature. And if you do nothing, you won't be able to exclude specific positions in job overlap from business process routing. Then we move on to other features. And here with this update, Object Transporter 2.0, Workday will enable you to migrate the business process definitions objects and all its components between tenants using the Object Transporter 2.0. Business process definitions were previously migratable using the Object Transporter 1.0. To align with 1.0, effective dating isn't supported in 2.0. When you migrate business process definitions using the 2.0, they won't display the effective date prompt. And Workday also enables you to migrate the custom validation rules between objects. Workday also enables you to migrate the custom validation rules objects between tenants using 2.0. Custom validation rules were previously migratable using the Object Transporter 1.0, and you can migrate the event categories and reasons objects between tenants using the Object Transporter 2.0 and migrate notifications between tenants. Next up, we have this configure optional fields for staffing business processes, where Workday adds the not enterable for all criteria to fields in these following tasks. And Workday also adds the not enterable for all criteria for the eligible for rehire field on these tasks on the configurable optional fields task, create former worker and edit former worker. Next up, we have this trigger validation conditions when adding approvers on action steps. And here, Workday adds the new enterable validation conditions for add approvers checkbox on the maintain step conditions task on for an action step, providing you with the flexibility to easily configure action steps to trigger validation conditions when reviewers add additional approvers on the business process step. This helps maintain data integrity in your tenant and prevents additional approvers from approving incorrect information. The enable validation conditions for add approvers checkbox isn't available for action steps that initiate a sub-process. When you select the future effective date on the maintain step conditions task and enable the enable validation conditions for additional approvers checkbox, Workday won't trigger the validation condition on the action step when you initiate the event with a prior effective date. And Workday also copies the configuration if you copy or link a business process definition. And when you select the enable validation condition for add approvers checkbox on an action step and click the magnifying glass icon on the step, it now displays a new enable validation condition for add approvers field, along with the help text on the view workflow step report. And when you enable the enable validation conditions for additional approvers checkbox on an action step that is already in progress, Workday won't trigger validation conditions on the step when a reviewer adds additional approvers on the step. And then we have some establishment enhancement for France and Germany, where there are 2 new fields that for France and Germany that you can use in the create and maintain establishment business process. They also add a new Germany-specific validation if your establishment is located in Germany. The new field and validation enables you to comply with social security and tax calculations. And if your establishment is located in France, the new field helps you register a new hire with general social security scheme. And then we have the HCM core document purge, where Workday enhances their purging capabilities by enabling you to purge documents of active employees. This assists you in responding to workers' right to be forgotten in compliance with the GDPR guidelines. They will also deliver a new safety incident purgeable data type on the purge person data task that you can use to purge relevant safety incident attachment data. And then we have local termination reasons, where Workday adds flexibility to configuring local termination reasons, improving your experience when terminating an employee or ending a contract for a contingent worker. Here, Workday enables you to configure the local termination reasons field on the maintain localization settings task, which gives you a more granular configuration options for displaying or requiring the field when completing the termination or end contingent worker contact business process. And to display the field for workers in specific countries, you must configure the countries on both of the tasks maintain local termination reasons and maintain localization settings. And to reduce manual effort, Workday will copy all countries and country regions from your existing configuration on the maintain local termination reasons task to allow for countries or regions column on the maintain localization settings task. And lastly, Workday enables you to hide or require the local termination reasons field on the end contingent worker contract business process using the configure optional fields task. And then Workday are working towards some language translations here, where they continue to improve and expand translations for all 37 languages, which makes it easier for you to manage a global workforce. And they now provide translations for Org Studio MMS and Worksheet ESS for users in Estonian and Latvian. To view a list of all available features and languages, as well as planned for upcoming releases, you can see this link here that you can click on to read more. And then we have some miscellaneous enhancements. And the first one is address effective date on contact change REST APIs contact information, where Workday update the REST services with the new effective date available in V1 and later versions. And this fields enables you to update the event effective date subsequently enforces the address related to the event to the respected event's effective date, work contact change and home contact change. And this is an automatically available feature. And then we have custom lists as a translatable object on the translate business object report and custom lists prompt to the filter section on the Translate Business object report. And with this, Workday add a custom list as a translatable object on the Translate Business object report, which enables you to translate custom list values. And this update makes translation management more efficient by including more translatable objects in a single report, which is also an automatically available feature. Next, we have the updated maintain feature opt-ins report, where Workday update the maintain feature opt-ins report to automatically enable the role assignment event performance optimization feature. And now you can now Workday optimizes pre-calculation of the automatically complete flag to improve performance for a large number of role assignments, which is also an automatically available feature. And then Workday enhances national ID validation for France and the Social Security ID number, and add validation for employees' personal information such as gender, year of birth, month of birth, and region of birth, which improves your data quality and provides a better user experience, which is also automatically available. And then Workday improved the user experience for enhancing the employee contract business process to enable you to start and end an employee contract on the same day, which is also automatically available. And then Workday adds the new fields on the create position and edit position restrictions task for security, clearance level, and sensitivity and risk. And these fields are hidden by default, and you can configure optional fields to show or hide these fields. So this is a required setup. And then Workday improves work tags by sorting recommendations based on machine learning predictions. So now recommended primary work tag values are listed in ranked order based on machine learning predictions, which will also be automatically available. And lastly, Workday deliver a new organization members report. And here Workday recommend you to use the new report instead of the members tab for custom organizations with more than 50,000 members for improved performance. Workday now also only display the results of the members tab for 50,000 workers or less. And then we will go into the roadmap. And here is the roadmap that Workday is implementing in this release and future goals. And there are 3 central themes. And first is this workforce agility, which represents the supporting of the seamless movement across the workforce, which enables you to quickly adapt to changing business needs. And then we have this expanded global and industry support, which aims to deliver key capabilities to support ongoing global organization expansion across industries. And the last one is foundational excellence, which aims to continue to invest in the foundation of HCM core, including experience in and supporting compliance. And here we have the workforce agility one. And in 2023 release 1, they released the flexible work arrangement business process as a sub-business process of hire, Org Studio transactions and UX updates skills on job profile workbook enhancements. And in the future, they are implementing HR Partner Hub, workforce planning and HCM integration, skill level on job profile, and condition rules for flexible work arrangements. Next, we have the expanded global and industry support, where they implemented in 2023 release 1 global address lookup for Australia, a German and French establishment, national ID validations for France, Germany, and Australia, France RUP reporting enhancements, and configurable addresses fields by country. And in the future, they are implementing active consent for personal information, expanded address lookup capabilities, United States federal requirements, 24-hour contract enhancements, and audio name pronunciation for mobile. And lastly, we have this foundational excellence where they will implement this release: configurable job overlap routing, rule-based service date defaulting, rule-based working time defaulting in recruiting, duplicate management improvements, change job experience enhancements, work and contact change for external committee members. And in the future, they are implementing notification and campaigns, flexible teams, mass correction capabilities, and 2022 version form I9. And that is it for my presentation on this release. Before you go, please answer this feedback survey.
Thank you very much, Elin. Now, if you have some last questions for Elin, she is still here. And as we are a little bit ahead of our time, we will shortly have a small break just before Hina's presentation at 11:10 at EET, Eastern European Time. And now let's wait a couple of more seconds if there's some questions popping into the chat. Elin is all ready for your questions here. And of course, please remember, give Elin and also our other presenters today feedback so that they know how it went and they can also improve if there's something to improve. Now, if no more questions in the chat, let's have a short break of 10 minutes. And once more, a great round of applause to Elin. Thank you so much for your presentation, and we'll continue soon.